Hey everybody, it's been a long time. Welcome back to Space Wizards Movie Reviews. Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different, something I've been thinking about for a while. Today we're going to be doing something I call the double feature, where we're going to watch the original movie and then we're going to watch the newer remake and see how they compare. So the film that we're going to do today is Judge Dredd, as you can tell. So let's start off by saying Judge Dredd is the epitome of a 90s film where people didn't understand how comic books worked yet. Judge Dredd is based off of a comic book called 2000 AD. He's not the only character. There are many characters within the stories, but he was one of the most popular. Now, the casting of this movie is pretty okay. I mean, Sylvester Stallone as Judge Dredd was a little bit of a stretch.
I am the law. Drop your weapon. These plugs are under
For me personally, because I think he played around with the character a little bit too much. He seemed like one of those actors who didn't actually read any of the source material, like, I don't know, picking up a 2080 comic and just cracking it open, seeing Judge Dredd's personality. He really made it his own. But if we look past some of the lesser decent acting of the movie, visually, absolutely stunning. Especially for the time, the story they were trying to tell of a mega city and actually depicting it with their 90s CG that actually looked not bad. A lot of the extras and what they're wearing, the clothing design is impeccable. One thing I will mention is that the Judge Dredd uniform is a little bit too cartoony, a little bit too comic book, because there's this ridiculous codpiece that Stallone is wearing. I understand that they were trying to make the movie more alluring to female fans as well, but it was almost like putting the abs on the bat suit. You don't really need to do that, but they did it anyways. But overall, the movie is, I'd give it a solid C. If you've never really seen it, take it with a grain of salt. There is a lot of really cool visual effects. There's a lot of cool storyline. The story itself feels like a graphic novel. It feels like one of the many stories that would be in 2000 AD, but it didn't live up to the expectation of fans. Or, most people who like watching movies. So it wasn't the best action film, and that's really what they tried to pose it as. Super hardcore action movie. But it kind of fell a little short with some of the science fiction elements they took from the graphic novel itself, and let's just be honest, this is a cyberpunk film through and through. Just everything about it is cyberpunk. So, that's part one. That is my all-around ideas behind the first Judge Dredd. I will say that I actually did see this movie in theaters when it came out. This was that 90s time period where you could still take a kid to an action movie, and it was violent, but not too violent to where, things would be a little extreme. I can't say the same for the next film that came out not too long ago. Okay, let's jump forward a little bit to 2012 when we had Dredd 3D come out in theaters. Okay, starting right off the bat, unfortunately this movie came out in the time period of everything needed to be 3D. After Avatar, every single movie, if they wanted to make money, they slapped the 3D name on it, only had a couple of scenes, and they were just kind of okay. This movie is a sleeper 3D movie because it was one of the first that I saw that was ultra-violent 3D. So it was actually something to see in the theaters. I mean, they have this beautiful concept where it's a drug that slows down time, which gives them the excuse to use Matrix-like bullet time, but really shows intense, violent scenes, which really do give you those panels of the graphic novel 2000 AD, which is honestly beautiful. The way they built up the story is a lot better than the original, or the 1995 version of Judge Dredd. Excuse me. It's got so much content that I feel like just didn't go anywhere, because there's so much within the graphic novel. They actually talk about other gangs.
Our trademark is violence. Not so long ago, there were three main gangs hustling for control of peace trees. The Paoli Kings, the Red Dragons, the Judged. Then Mama arrived.
And the lifestyle of the world they talk about. There's a girl who happens to be a psychic, which is actually right along with their universe, which again is a cyberpunk universe. It's absolutely amazingly depicted that way.
Stretching from Boston to Washington, D.C. An unbroken concrete landscape. 800 million people living in the ruin of the old world and the megastructures of the new one. Mega blocks.
Again, ultra violent, this movie. The acting is absolutely stunning. I really appreciate it, especially within the character himself, Judge Dredd. Carl Urban does an amazing job of just making this character really exactly how he was in the comic. Just unfazable, just a perfect law enforcement, and he doesn't make mistakes. It is a lot better of a rendition of the character than Stallone's version, because Stallone, again, he tried to make it his own, where Carl Urban was just like, no, I'm going to play Judge Dredd the way that you should. Overall, great casting, great acting. The storyline was actually solid. There wasn't a lot of scene changes in this movie, which can be kind of disappointing, but the story that they were telling, you didn't need that. And it really emphasizes some of the key points of cyberpunk, which is high tech, low life. So you've got people who are these police with all this crazy technology, but you also got people living in poverty because the world is just being crushed by just too many people in these megacities. So overall, Dredd 3D, if you just ignore the 3D part, it's a great movie. I'd give it a solid B+. It's not the perfect film. I feel like they unfortunately came out with the movie at the wrong time, because there should have been a sequel. There should have been something more, because they really opened up the world of Dredd a lot more than the original movie did. Even though the original, the 1995 version, had a lot more scene changes and went really trying to traverse you through every part of the graphic novel, but that just kind of made it messy, where this movie was very streamlined and singular, where it's like, we have a mission, this is what we're doing, there's a start, beginning, and end, and a goal that is accomplished. And so it's like reading a good comic, where like you kind of know what the ending is going to be, but it still surprises you, and it's worth a watch. So that's going to be it for my double feature movie review. I hope you guys like it, and within the next couple of weeks, I'm going to have some more coming down the pipe. So, have a good one. And I just had to say one more thing. Sylvester Stallone and Armand Assante saying "la la la" in that 95 movie, and Rob Schneider's awful comic relief really killed it for me. If it wasn't for that, I think it would have been a better film.